Hey mate, before you enjoy today's episode, I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about the free 14-day transformation that we are currently running inside of the Unbreakable Man team. Now, if you're a man on the Gold Coast who's serious about improving his physical and mental health, building his self-confidence, and you want to become a part of a team of motivated and like-minded men, then this is the best chance that you are going to get. So as part of the 14-day transformation, you're going to get a personalized meal plan and a recipe cookbook to help you get your diet under control. You're going to be training with myself and the Unbreakable Man team for 2 whole weeks, and I'll be there by your side, helping you overcome any of the challenges that you will face along the way. If that sounds good, then get in touch with me by emailing me at mitch@unbreakableman.com.au. You can find all of my contact details on the website, which is just www.unbreakableman.com.au. Or you can message me on social media. Instagram is unbreakableman_challenge, and Facebook is just Unbreakable Man. That sounds good to you? Hit me up. I hope to hear from you soon. Back to the episode. Hey brother, Coach Mitch here, and welcome to this week's episode of the Unbreakable Man podcast. Now, by the time you're watching this, it is June of 2024, which means we are fast approaching the halfway mark of this year. And if you go back to one of the very first episodes of 2024, the question I was asking you guys was, what are your goals for the year? What do you want to be able to say you've accomplished by December of 2024? How would you like to see your life change over this 12-month period? And this is a question that I ask the guys in the Unbreakable Man program at the beginning of every single year, and towards the end of the year about what they want to do next year. And it's an important conversation to have, not because the start of the year is the only time you can set those kind of longer term goals. It's a good marker, right? Like the end of the year is finished, we have that break, we have a little bit of time hopefully set aside to consider this. And, we've got that next 12-month period out ahead of us to start to put some work in. And now we're almost at the halfway point. So if you watched the episode at the beginning of 2024, hopefully you wrote some stuff down. And if you didn't, why the fuck didn't you? If you listen to these episodes regularly, then that means you want to improve, man. That means you're a bloke who wants to make his life better in his physical health, his mental health, his relationships, his career or business, and his personal life. You wouldn't be listening to something like this if that wasn't of importance to you. And if you haven't even written down goals for this year, then what are you doing, man? That's the first step that you need to take if you don't want to accomplish anything over this 12-month period. If you want to fail, don't set goals. And definitely don't write them down if you want to fail. If you want to have just another year where 12 months of your life goes by and you're exactly the same bloke at the end, like best case scenario, then don't think about any goals and definitely don't write them down. But if you are a guy who wants to see his life improve with every single year, see himself improve with every single year, then you've got to write these goals down, man. You've got to figure out what it is that would make this year a good year for you and write it down. Like if you're not even willing to write it down, put it on paper in front of you, then how bad do you really want it? And what's stopping you from writing it down? What's holding you back from just simply getting out a pad and pen and writing down the things that are important to you that you want to get right this year? It will be disappointing to me if I find out that you watched the episode and you considered a little bit about what you wanted to accomplish and then never actually wrote anything down. We're not even taking action on anything yet, lads. We're just simply putting it on paper. Now, that would be really disappointing. And not just for me, it's about you, mate. This is your life. If we're literally doing things over and over again that inhibit our ability to live our life, then it's just sad. So I'd be disappointed if I found that out about you, man. I would be disappointed. And if, look, maybe you never saw that episode, maybe that's not something that you typically do at the beginning of a new year, at the end of your current year. Maybe it's not. But now, regardless you're listening to this episode. And we're almost at the halfway mark of 2024. And if you haven't set any goals for the year, now is not a bad time, dude. You got 6 months to make this year count. 6 months to do something that allows you to look back over 2024 and think, this is the best year of my life so far. It wasn't easy, but I'm really grateful that I did what I did. It's made a big difference. And that is an experience that I would like every man to have every year. Because if you do enough of that in a row, your life is vastly different after 10 years. You are a different person. Everyone in your life around you, their lives are greatly improved because you've done this. You've taken on that level of responsibility. So, here we are at the halfway mark, lads. How are you tracking for your goals for the year? You know, if you set some health goals, are you making progress? Are you fitter, stronger, leaner than you were at the start of the year right now? Are you consistently training? Are you eating well? Are you drinking less? Are you smoking less, or hopefully not drinking or smoking at all? Now, what are some of those things that you've changed? And once again, I'm always going to come back to this. Have you done anything? Or were you one of those blokes who signed up to a gym in January and hasn't been since, and has just been paying the charity of the gym for the last 4 months? Lots of guys out there that do that. And again, those same fellas finish off the year no fitter, no stronger, probably with even more body fat and less confidence in themselves, and continue to be not as good of an example as they could be for the people around them, especially their kids. You know, if you're a bloke with kids, I don't see how there's a choice here to not be serious about your goals, to not be serious about being the best that you can be. You know, being physically fit is one of those things, but it's not the only thing. If you're a father, you have a responsibility every day and every week, not just to provide for your family in a financial sense, but also to provide an example for them to follow. That's leadership 101. You know, have you been setting a good example for your family so far this year? Are your actions the kind of actions that you would want your children to emulate? That's a pretty easy way to decide whether you've been doing a good job or not so far. That will help clarify things for you. Now, hopefully you are progressing. Hopefully you're in a better place than you were 6 months ago. And that would be awesome. I would love to hear that. If that is you, comment down below. Look, actually, you know what? Regardless of whether you are progressing or not progressing, comment your experience so far of 2024 down below. And that means if you're doing great, tell me exactly how well you're doing. Tell me the things that have changed. Tell me the commitments you've made. And if you're having a rough year, tell me why you're having a rough year down below. Because if you share this sort of stuff and I get the opportunity to read it, which I will, and respond to it, then it helps me understand more of the struggles that you are dealing with. And that helps me improve what I'm able to offer men like yourself. If I know, okay, cool, you know, Bob's been struggling financially this year, and because of that, he's found himself unable to do X, Y, Z. I'm like, okay, cool. How can I make sure that Bob still gets the opportunity to do X, Y, and Z, which he needs to do to be a great role model for his kids and feel confident within himself, despite the fact that financially things aren't working out as well. Like, I'm a problem solver, and if I'm aware of the problems, then we can start to put some things in place. So comment down below, guys, with where you're at so far this year, whether it has been a good year for you so far, and then what you've actually accomplished that made it a good year, or whether it's been a tough year for you so far and what you've been dealing with that's made it a tough year. You know, at the end of the day, if you're going through some hardship in your life, it's going to be more difficult for you to consistently put these actions into place than someone who's not dealing with that personal stuff, let's say. But at the end of the day, this is also unbreakable man. That's what this podcast is all about, brother. And that's the reason why, if you are having a hard time right now, this is a great place to be, dude. Because we're all about helping you become the kind of man that you want to be, despite the things that you're going through. Because we don't want to just succeed in good times. We want to succeed regardless of what's happening around us. And it's not easy, but it is possible. So, again, we're at this point. My next question for you, man, is if you are really happy with the way that you're tracking, do you think that there's anything you could do to improve your progress or improve your rate of progress from here? Are you doing everything that you could be doing? Are there perhaps still a few habits that you have yet to put in place that you could start to work on? Because again, this is about maximizing your potential. This is about helping you have the best experience in 2024 and create the most amount of positive change for yourself and your family. So perhaps you've already had a good year so far, and there's still some layers that you could add on top of the good habits that you've already started to implement to make sure that by the end of the year, you're in even better shape than you thought you would be. And my question is there more you could do? And if there is, I want you to write those things down. What are some of the things that maybe you have been missing so far this year, even though you've been doing a good job so far? So perhaps the fact that you are doing a good job means that you have a little bit more time and a little bit more, perhaps, confidence within yourself that, hey, okay, well, so far this has been working out really well. What else is out there for me? So this is just a question for you to consider. Is there something else you could add to what you've already been accomplishing? Now, if you are having a rough time, like you're actually going through something, then maybe for you this year is just to solve that problem. Maybe a big outcome for you this year would just be to get yourself back to normality, to neutral. And that's progress, boys. Sometimes it's not about going from 0 to 10. Sometimes it's about going from -5 to 0. And that's progress, lads, that you've moved up 5 spots. Even though you're like, well, now I'm just back at 0. No, dude. You're heading in the right direction. The direction of travel is more important than the level that you are at in your life. The direction of travel. If you are improving, then you're doing the right thing, and you should feel bloody good about that. Don't compare yourself to other people. Don't compare your results to other people's results. Compare your current results to your past results. And if you've been making progress in a positive direction, then you're doing everything that you should be doing right now. So maybe if you're having a rough time this year, something's going wrong personally, whatever that might be, then maybe your goal for the year and a big win for you would just be to get back to normality. And it would be a big win, because what that's doing is creating a solid foundation on which you can start to layer those extra levels of accomplishment and improvements in your life, and you have a solid foundation to do that. So getting to 0 is not a bad thing, lads. You've got to get to 0 before you can get to 1. So super important, and don't underestimate the power of that, and also how awesome that is. Now, there's one other category of guy that needs to be asked this question, and that's the guys who could have done something, who have the time and have just been lazy. You haven't written down your goals, and you've just, the times where you could have been working towards improving yourself or your life, you've just sat on the couch or scrolled on Facebook or, swung through the driveway at Macca's or been out on the piss or whatever it might be. Just, if you're going to do that, and that's your life at the end of the day, man, it's your call. But if you're going to do that, then just remember that there will come a time where you do not have any more years to spare. You're actually at the end of your days, and you're going to look back and know that you've spent a lot of your time getting on the piss, scrolling through Facebook, watching TV, and ultimately not doing anything that's actually moved you forward in any way. And there's not a single bloke that's going to look back after having spent a lot of his time doing that, that's going to feel proud of that. I tell you what, there's going to be a lot of old men in 50 years' time, blokes in my generation, who are going to look back and go, fuck me, I fucked up here. I've made a big mistake. I could have done so much better. I could have achieved so much more. And instead I allowed myself to be distracted by stupid things in my environment over and over and over again. There's going to be a lot of old men in 50 years' time who feel just like that. It might not even be 50 years from now. There's a lot of fellas who are older than me who are already making these mistakes over and over again. And we can't take them back, lads. Time is the one commodity that is truly valuable at the end of the day because it is finite. We only have so much of it. And we do not want to waste it, lads. So if you're being honest with yourself, and the reason why you haven't progressed that much so far this year is just laziness or procrastination, that is the worst possible answer to this question. You are in the worst situation, not the guys who are struggling with some specific thing in their life that's holding them back. Don't get me wrong, if that's you, that sucks, and I feel for you, brother. However, you then have a focus on something to change, and you have a reason to focus on that thing. For the guys who are just kind of a bit aimless and a bit lost right now and are struggling to motivate themselves, you're the ones who are truly wasting your time. You're the ones who are missing the point. And you're the ones who probably need the most help, because you could do that for the rest of your life. And the old adage of I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it next month, or I'll do it next year, there will come a time where you cannot say that anymore. And the best years of your life will be behind you, and there's nothing that you can do about it. It's already been done. So, this is your reminder, fellas. We're almost halfway through 2024. Does it feel like you've put in 6 months worth of work to improve yourself in your life? If the answer to that question is no, then that's a really strong indicator that you need to get to work. If the answer to that question is yes, then that's awesome, man. Obviously, continue to do what you're already doing, and perhaps even ask yourself what the extra 5 to 10% is that you could be putting in right now to make sure that by the end of 2024, you look back and you're just like, oh my God, look at what I've been able to do. Look at me now. Look at my body. Look at the way I feel. Look at what I'm capable of. Look at what I've managed to earn. Look at the experiences I've given my family. Look how much happier I am. That's the experience I want for all of you. But it's not going to get there without doing the work. So, with one last thing I'm going to leave you with for this episode is, especially if you're that fella who's struggling to self-motivate, who's procrastinating, who knows he needs to make a change, I truly believe that a great foundation starts with you personally, your physical and your mental fitness. And if you're procrastinating on it, one of the best decisions that you could make for yourself in 2024, if you're a Gold Coast man, would be to come and join Unbreakable Man. Come and be a part of this team of like-minded men in your local area who are serious about improving their lives and becoming the best possible bloke that they could be for themselves and their family. And also, I'll be there in person to coach you through that process. And we're not just going to be working on getting you in great physical shape. We're going to be working on your confidence, your resilience. And there's a whole host of adventures that we're planning for the rest of the year that are going to become really positive memories for you when you look back over the year too, and realize that, hey, I've really maximized my life in 2024. And I want you to have the opportunity to say to yourself, this has been the best year of my life so far. All right. With that said, brother, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I look forward to speaking to you again on the next episode. Cheers.
Hey mate, I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Unbreakable Man podcast. If you did, it would be absolutely fantastic if you could leave us a 5-star review, because that's going to help us get our message in front of more men who need to hear it. Now, if you have some feedback for me, I'd love to hear that too. Comment down below. And if you just need some mini doses of Unbreakable Man motivation throughout your week, then you can follow us across all social platforms. On Facebook, it's Unbreakable Man Challenge. On Instagram, it's Unbreakable Man_challenge. And on TikTok and YouTube, it's just Unbreakable Man. Your support would be absolutely invaluable. Now, last but not least, do not forget, men aren't born, they're built.